Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CrossFit Games Update Show. I am Rory McKernan, and today you might notice our wolf pack has increased in size. I'm joined at the desk not only by my friend Pat Sherwood, but also the beautiful Miranda Oldroyd is back.
Yeah, welcome back, champ. NorCal Regional, how'd it go?
The NorCal Regional was an experience. I'll tell you that much. It was so much fun, and I'm so glad that I got to go out there and take part in it. Obviously, I'm sitting here, so I didn't qualify, but having taken part of it, I have even more respect for the athletes that qualified through to the games than I even had before.
I'm pretty sure you just called us your consolation prize.
Basically.
Yes, not so many words.
That was the only regional we got to go out to, and it was amazing. But now, of course, all the regional competitions are a done deal, and we're sitting just 37 days away from the 2012 Reebok CrossFit Games. The sold-out CrossFit Games, by the way.
Incredible.
We're sitting 37 days out, and we're sold out. Okay, that, my friends, very, very impressive. On today's show, we'll hear from some of NorCal's elite athletes on switching gears from the regionals to the games. Then we'll break down the male competition as we march towards the Home Depot Center.
Yes, I get it, right? We have a lot to do. You know, we're looking towards the games now, but let's not quite yet. Let's just hold on to the regionals for just a smidge longer.
He's so
You
sentimental.
can, I know, he can just never let
Can't let
go
go.
of
I can't
things.
let go.
But there really is so much we could look back on. I know I was glued to the leaderboard for the entire 5 weeks.
I actually thought that you were checking the leaderboard as you were doing Diane. It's
Is
your
that,
regional.
that's a stab at my Diane time, I think.
All of these regionals are worthy of celebration. So for one last time during the regional season, let's cover the top 10 moments from all 5 weeks. Starting with number 10, the NorCal Chainsaw Massacre. Too dramatic?
No, go ahead.
I'm still as excited about this as I was watching it. At the NorCal Regional, training partners Neal, Maddox, and Khalipa simply traded the top spot all weekend long on consecutive workouts. This is despite the fact they were not competing against chumps. They beat out Blair Morrison, Gabe, Subry, Joey Warren, just to name a few. When the dust settled, Khalipa bagged a world record on event 2 and beat Rich Froning on 3 events. His training partner, Neal Maddox, broke the world record on event 3 and shocked everyone by finishing Diane only 6 seconds behind Chris Spieler in 158. It's not too bad for a 212-pound frame.
Not bad for a big guy, right? Number 9, 0 G's. Gravity left the building in the South Central men's and the NorCal women's snatch ladder. First, on the men's side of the house, week 1, Asia Bartow called his shot and backed it up by marching through every single bar on the ladder, finally securing the 295-pound barbell overhead to a screaming house packed full of fans. Then, on the ladies' side of the house, in week 4, NorCal, Sarah Hopping didn't just snatch, she power snatched a world record 108 pounds. That's good. I don't care who you are. We're not going to get into my numbers right now. Couple that with a 6th place overall finish, and you've got a young lady to look out next winter when the 2013 season kicks off.
You're looking way ahead.
Way ahead.
I said it before going into it, Sarah Hopping is a beast. Number 8, new kids on the block, or should I say new ladies on the block. The days when the Annie T versus Kristen Clever show was the only race to watch in the women's competition have come to a close. If the qualifiers are any indication, there are a handful of women who will make the ladies' competition this year extremely exciting. First, there's some newbies. Azadeh Boraman of the South Central, Katrine Davidsdaughter, and Jen Jones are just a few women that you should be on the lookout for in Carson. Their scores place them in the top 10 across all regions, and they've never even competed in the games before. Katrine is only 19 years old and just started CrossFit. Sounds like Annie back in 2009. Then, of course, there are some new and improved veterans like Akinwale 2.0. Elizabeth Akinwale set the gold standard in North Central by dominating her region, winning 3 out of the 6 workouts, tied for first on another one, and took third on 2 others. Another young lady had a similarly fantastic showing in her regional, but Rory, she's going to get her own number.
We will give her own number because she deserves it. Number 7, the doctor will see you now, a.k.a. Julie Fouché is the real deal. Seeing Julie perform in person at the Central East Regionals was a highlight not just for regionals, but from all the games performances that I've ever witnessed. She absolutely crushed it with performances that were in a different universe than her competition. We wondered then if Annie would touch her world records on event 4, which was 14:44, or event 6, 15:21, and the answer is no, she didn't even come close. Annie was a minute and 20 away from her event 4 record, and then a minute 14 short on the event 5 record. So with Julie, no one's ever doubted her speed, endurance, stamina. But she is on the smaller side. She's 5'4", 130. Despite that, she snatched just 5 pounds short of what Annie did. And all this, not bad for a young lady who just finished her first year of med school.
Let's give the team some love, right? Number 6, the Sea of Green. CrossFit Invictus defeats Event 4. Now, only 4 teams total who came up against Event 4 even completed it within the 25-minute time cap. CrossFit Invictus not only finished, but they blazed through the sucker in 23:32. Let's put that in perspective. CrossFit New England, the defending affiliate cup champs, they had 30 reps to go when the 25-minute time cap hit. Invictus's performance doesn't just indicate their work capacity, but shows their ability to coordinate a team, do smooth transitions, and adapt under pressure of competition. They might be looking to take the old throne from those New England people.
The teams are so exciting at regionals this year, and I can't wait to see the games for sure. And how can we talk about the top 10 without talking about the CrossFit community? Number 5, we are CrossFit. The on-site experience at a CrossFit event is second to none, not only because of the amazing athletic performances like we've mentioned, but due in large part also to these stadiums packed with CrossFit fans. The vibe was personified for me by the crowd support for one of my old athletes at my old affiliate, CrossFit 801, Chris Stowe in the Southwest. Then No Name Stowe headed into the second day in 5th place behind some big names, Pat Burke, Chris Spieler, Zach Forrest, and Matt Chan. Coming up against the time cap in Event 4, they dropped the PA, dropped the audio, and the crowd took over and counted one by one each one of Chris Stowe's final 30 reps. He missed it by just 1 rep in the time cap, but the energy was outstanding, and it's such a great kind of cap to where he's come so far in his CrossFit success story. The guy's lost 60 pounds, so to have that memory of CrossFit has got to be incredible for him.
If only you could bottle that up and bring it back to your affiliate.
Yeah, I'm jealous of anyone that was there.
Yeah, I just need a crowd of people cheering for me on every single workout, and I'll push it a little bit harder. Let's go to number 4, Bailey does Diane. There's moments in sports when you're rendered speechless. Watching Dan Bailey push the boundaries of human performance in Diane was one of those for me. Despite 6 no reps for placing his hands outside the tape on the handstand push-ups, Bailey blazed through 90 reps in 1 minute and 35 seconds. That's, for those of you who are not as fantastic at math, just over a second per rep, and sprinting between the movements. He was 17 seconds faster than the next fastest time in any region. That was Chris Spieler's 152. Now, typically, the athlete who turned in a performance like that on Diane was irrelevant to the rest of the competition. Sometimes they even DNF'd on the next workout. Not the case with Dan, who went on to win Event 3, take second on Event 6, and second overall. He was just 6 points behind Rich Froning. Truly amazing.
The Diane time doesn't even make any mathematical sense to me.
No,
yeah,
it's
what the
impossible.
hell's going on? Where are the days when a 5-minute Diane was like a really good Diane?
Thank you, thank you.
We may see sub 2 is what we say. We may
Days
see
are
sub 2.
gone. Moving on, number 3. Could we be talking about a repeat? The champ, Rich Froning, made a statement. In the first qualifying season, he was required to compete since 2010, despite competing in one of the toughest regionals with 2 other guys who placed in the top 10 at the 2011 CrossFit Games. Rich won 4 out of 6 workouts. He just mopped the place up. At the end of regionals, the world records on Event 4 and Event 6 belonged to Rich. Interesting because these are the longest ones, right? Isn't this where he supposedly suffered as an athlete? Apparently not the case. After winning the 2011 games by nearly 100 points. 100 points, that's ridiculous, right? My God. And fast forward, he won the 2012 Open by over 100 points. And we've seen the best performances from him at the 2012 regionals. Like, can anybody beat this guy?
I think there's almost a lot to talk about there.
There could be some meat in
I
that
think
bone.
we should address that later in the show, as a matter of
Okay,
fact.
done deal.
Now I'm gonna take a note from you.
Take it.
And I'll repeat what you said. Are we gonna see a repeat? There seems to be a pattern with one Annie Thorisdottir. I don't care how long you draw out your test, how many years you put her through different events, Annie Thorisdottir will always place at, or worst case scenario, near the top. At her regional, her stiffest competition was not on site, Julie Fouché, Kristen Clever, but her performance was still good enough to place her on top of the worldwide standings when the dust settled. She won 5 out of 6 events in her regional. The snatch there went to David's daughter that we mentioned earlier. She holds the Diane and Event 2 world records, 154 and 1147. Now think about this for a minute. One of the larger athletes, Annie, ties Kristen Clever on Diane. I was personally surprised that she only set 2 world records, but you don't have to win everything to win the CrossFit Games. You need to do well on all or most events. Now, I know some competitors had to notice the muscle ups because they used to be her weakness, but her hard work has paid off. She finished 5th of all the Games qualifiers on event 6 in 16:35, and that workout contained 24 muscle ups. So if those competitors were hoping to make up some ground at the Games on the muscle up workouts with Annie, I don't know. They
Good
might
luck
want to
to you.
forget about that.
Good
Exactly.
luck.
Not a safe bet. It's almost as if our past champions are legitimate athletes.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
doing pretty good.
And maybe if they had a little hole in the game somewhere, it's gone. It's absolutely gone.
There's probably one name you want to call out before I go into the number 1.
Spieler! Hashtag.
Number 1, the top spot, hashtag Spieler. Hands down, the most spine-tingling, exciting event from the regionals was Chris Spieler's storybook comeback at the Southwest Regional. The Spirit of the Games winner from 2010 was in 5th place heading into the final day. He was behind Zach Forrest and Matt Hathcock. To the disbelief of everyone, Chris beat the odds. He got a 10-pound PR in his snatch, and he tied Matt Chan on the final event, taking Hathcock's spot to the Games and making history as the only athlete who will have competed as an individual in every single CrossFit Games in history. Truly amazing. Now, not only was this a testament to Chris, but to the fact that the regionals have truly arrived as events in themselves. The tweet, hashtag Spieler, broke into the top trends on Twitter that Sunday afternoon. Now, if you don't know what that means, I didn't either. But think about this. Twitter is one of the largest online social networking sites. They have over 140 million active users, 340 million tweets daily, and over 1.6 billion, with a B, search queries per day. So a 3rd place finisher in a qualifying CrossFit event broke onto those top trends. Think about that. Suck on that, world politics.
CrossFit is making some twits.
I never doubted Spieler for a second. I'm just going to go on record. I knew he was going to do it the whole time.
Yeah, you're a Spieler fanatic. And,
One
and
of many. There's a very incriminating tape that we need to destroy somewhere of me getting something in my eye and this liquid coming out. It's no good.
No doubt. I'll be the first to admit that I didn't doubt Spieler necessarily. I mean, I knew that he was going to do fantastically, but I didn't think that he could beat those odds. I thought that it was impossible mathematically.
It was going to be storybook, and it was.
Yeah. So, fare thee well, regionals. That's it. It was a great run. We are now officially switching gears and looking ahead to the 2012 Reebok CrossFit Games. As mentioned previously, the games are already sold out. However, there's good news if you didn't get a ticket. We're going to provide extensive coverage from Carson starting on Monday evening, July 9th. There'll be a breakdown of the competition, important announcements. We'll have athletes on the show. The games will also be live on ESPN3, and the Jumbotron feed will come directly to the game site. Updates, stories, and eye candy will be overflowing on the game site as well. So, in short, there will be more games content to feast on than you can shake a barbell at.
I like that. I like that. Was good.
Coming up, we look forward with a breakdown on how the men's competition will stack up when they face off in July.
GNC is proud to be the official vitamin and sports nutrition retailer of the CrossFit Games. GNC, live well.
Tickets for the 2012 Reebok CrossFit Games are sold out. But it's not too late. The affiliate who raises the most money for CrossFit for Hope will be receiving a suite at the Home Depot Center this July. Raise money, help children, enjoy the greatest sport on earth.
Welcome back, guys. Got to talk about this Hope workout. It's amazing. We all got a chance to do it yesterday with some of NorCal's most elite athletes, yourself included, and it's brutal.
Yeah, it was extremely brutal workout, right? It was how much lightweight hurts, and it hurts bad. I tell you what, if you want to break 300 in this thing like I did, it's going to cost you.
He didn't break 300.
Not by a long shot.
You don't have to lie for us to love you.
It was definitely a cool environment, though, and people were talking about reminding each other why we were doing the workout during it, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it is an amazing cause. St. Jude Children's Hospital, one of the coolest things you can support. So hopefully everyone gets a chance to take part in that this weekend on Saturday. Now, the regional competitions are CrossFit's equivalent to the semifinal round. The performances we saw on site were the first taste in 2012 of what it will look like when the top athletes in the sport go head-to-head with judges, fans, cameras, all the pressures of competition.
Yeah, up to this point, to qualify, an athlete only has to outperform the competition basically in their area, right? So in other words, qualification at the regionals is the top prize. But now, I want to know, and I know you guys want to know as well, how these guys and girls and teams will stack up against each other at the games in the Home Depot Center.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Cross-regional comparisons, they're imperfect at best, right? So many factors to consider, right? What week did the athletes compete in? What was the environment like indoors versus outdoors in the NorCal sun? Well, the environment, what advantages or disadvantages do they have on their side? Additionally, without a calculator and a lot of free time really, it's kind of cumbersome to compare these scores from all the different regions.
Lucky then for us that some super fans compiled the very data that we're talking about. A very big shout goes out to Christine Greenlee Beach from CrossFit San Elijo and also Chad Schrader from CrossFit Roots in Boulder, Colorado for doing the legwork on this. What they've done, all of the scores from the qualifying athletes in all regions have been consolidated in one place with placements allocated as if the athletes had gone head to head. Again, it's not perfect, but it's fantastic jumping off point for discussing which athletes you should be watching at the games. This week, let's explore the men's competition.
And here's what's cool, right? This jumped out and just grabbed me instantly. Names 1 through 6. Really the top 10 if you want to take it that far. They're all very recognizable. Why is this interesting? Well, it's not because I don't like change. I despise change, actually. It's because this data shows that experience counts. We're not just seeing athletes kind of casually walk onto the CrossFit Games scene and become a serious competitor anymore. Every single one of the regional's top 10 based off this list is a Games veteran. You can't understate the significance of that. These vets have a competitive edge, and experience plays a huge hand in the success of these athletes. Now, there are some new names who qualified, but the top performers, the ones that we expect to be relevant at the games, they've been playing at this level for a while.
So what you're saying is I need more experience.
Or better
just
scores.
better scores.
Yeah, that
just
would
better
do it.
scores in general.
You got the experience
would've
in the
helped.
bag.
Okay. Kind of shocking too for me was a few of the high worldwide placings on specific events from a few of these guys who made it into the top 10. So for example, Spencer Hendel, he had a 39th place finish worldwide on Diane and an 18th place finish on number 4. Obviously made up a lot of ground over the weekend to still make it into the top 10, but those are some high numbers. What about Ben Smith's 41st place finish? And again, we're only talking out of like 50 guys, not even that many.
How dare you?
On event 3 and still managed to place 6th overall. I think that's absolutely crazy, and I'm blown away that they were able to get away with that and still finish that competitively in the standings.
Look at Pat is personally offended whenever you
I
talk
am
badly about Ben Smith. These are all important discussions to have, but let's get to the goods. What do these numbers actually tell us? Who should you be watching at the Home Depot Center? Who is going to win the CrossFit Games? And of course, that comes with a caveat. We're discussing who will take second place to Rich Froning Jr.
Is it? Is that what that means?
I'm sort of joking, but I've come full circle on my thinking about the champ. If I'm being honest, during the Open, I blindly bought in when we said it's Rich versus the field, and we all said that. I just couldn't imagine who would rise to the challenge. Then we saw the early performances that went down at regionals, and I second-guessed that. But having seen him compete live at the Central East and now seeing these numbers, I'm convinced he can't be beat. He's 13 points ahead of the next best finisher. He's got 2 first-place finishes and 2 second-place finishes in the world again. And I say again because in the Open, he also dominated with the top spots. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
It happens.
Do what I say.
Rich Froning is not going to win the CrossFit Games because Ben Smith is going to win the CrossFit Games. Now, that little, the math equation we just talked about, all the regional data, Ben Smith had his, very poor placing on the dumbbell workout. I actually see that as one of his strong suits and not a bad thing. That dumbbell workout, and you can speak to this as well, people practice that and practice it, cut their times in half, literally shaved minutes off of their time, 3 to 5 minutes from getting good at it. He never touched the damn dumbbell 1 or 2 times, then did it. So yeah, of course he didn't do as well as everyone else, and he still crushed his regional, mopped it up. Now, he also treated the regionals like the games. Went in not having practiced anything, and you're not going to get a lot of practice at the games, and nobody could touch him. So that just tells me he is ready for the big show under pressure. And also, he's one of the most purely athletic individuals there. If the stuff comes up, throw a baseball, do whatever it's going to be, he's got an advantage on that.
I will say this though, Rory, I absolutely agree with you. I think there's going to be a repeat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, but
was
I
easy.
think it's going to be Jason Khalipa, the 2008 CrossFit Games champion, that's going to repeat. You want to talk about passion? This guy has it. He basically eats gunpowder for breakfast. Something is going on here because he is passionate. He believes in himself more this year than ever. And we've seen him basically grow in the sport. In 2008, he won. It was a surprise, I think, even to him. In 2009, came back, and I'll go ahead and say he basically tanked in the first event, but clawed his way back into 5th place overall. 7th last year. Okay, so I think that last year we were starting to see him kind of come into his own, figure out his mind game, things like that. He's currently ranked 2nd in the worldwide regional leaderboard, whatever you want to call it. He beat Rich on 3 out of 6 events, and he's proven that he can beat Rich on a wide variety of events. So you've got like Diane from the regionals, he beat him, but also he beat him on something completely different, that long beach run last year. He beat Rich by 2 minutes. Another year under his belt, working with his training partner, Neal, Maddox. I think he's just going to be the guy that beat Rich.
He beat Rich on the beach?
2 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, actually. So, but 2 things that I got to correct you on. He didn't basically tank on the first workout 2 years in a row. He tanked on the first workout, and he'd be the first one to admit it, right?
Right.
So that used to be his weakness, was the beginning.
You can't let Dan Bailey outsnatch you. If you put like those 2 human beings next to each other, it doesn't make any rational sense. Khalipa's like 230 pounds, for God's sake. It's almost a body weight snatch he has to do. And then also his mental focus. Okay, passion spilleth over from Khalipa's cup, but that's almost cost him a little bit in the past where he comes out like a raging bull. He's been working on it, but we'll see.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I think his training partner, I think Neal Maddox, could possibly make his way onto the podium as well. I mean, he beat Rich in several events. He beat him in Diane. He beat him in the dumbbell. He tied him on the snatch ladder. He was only 2 seconds behind him on event 2. So I think if his mind is right, and I believe that it will be, he could possibly beat Rich.
It's a big capital
too.
I,
Big
big capital
one.
I if. We got to speak to Neal, actually. He was here yesterday, and I just don't think that he can get to that mental space personally from seeing what happened in event 6 at the regionals. Now, maybe between here and the games he can fix that, but he really fell apart when he started getting no rep, and you just can't have that.
And it's good that he knows it, good that he's aware of it, it's good that he's working on it, but I mean, if there's one place that you don't want to possibly have a chink in your armor, it's on the mental game. So that's a dangerous place.
You can't say that Neal hasn't completely changed in that arena since the very first time we saw him, though.
He's made a lot of progress, but I don't know if he's podium. I hope that he is. I'm a big fan, but I don't know.
Talking about
It's gonna be
champion
tough.
here.
It's gonna be tough.
Talking about winning the CrossFit Games, and I don't think he's got that. Now, here's the only caveat that I'll make to Rich Froning winning, which he will, but he might share the he might share the top of the podium with someone
Okay.
else, and it's going to be one of the men that he competed against already this year at the Central East Regional. These guys were amazing. Talk about Dan Bailey. This kid has got it all. He's trained with champions, right? Not just Rich, but he's trained with Nico Salo. He trained with Graham Holmberg. So he's been building up and actually putting himself head-to-head with these guys. And for the first time at regionals, I saw where he could actually take that top spot. Second thing about Bailey is if we ever see like a substantial sprint, which I pray to God that we do, he is going to absolutely crush it. He ran something like a 47-second 400-meter dash.
That doesn't make sense.
He's got ungodly speed. So Bailey, amazing. However, what I really want this to be about is Graham Holmberg.
Okay.
I think the 2010 champ this year is going to make his comeback. I think that he actually has a very, very legitimate chance of winning the CrossFit Games. He's just a naturally gifted athlete. So when you get to something like the CrossFit Games, where we've heard Khalipa say, you know, the unknown and unknowable, I really have to practice it. If someone wants me to dribble a basketball or throw a ball or jump on a pogo stick, whatever it may be, that's something that Graham could really pick up quickly, whereas other athletes would have to practice it, and in having that weakness is where they'll fall short.
I got to see him perform real time there in the Central East. It was incredible, and it was the best Graham Holmberg I've ever seen compete. However, and even though he did exceptionally well, there was the man right there, Rich, to watch, and Rich was better. That's it. Graham did incredible, but what I saw, Rich was better. I don't think he's quite got it this year.
Well, here's what's cool is in disagreeing with me, you've come full circle, and now you're agreeing with me again, which is really cool. So, you know, you got to take this with a grain of salt, right? These are just numbers. Again, these guys weren't in the same place at the same time. So take these cross comparisons with a grain of salt.
And we will, Ben Smith. You have to mention again, right, that the stakes are raised, gloves are off, and it's literally another world when these guys get to the games. Known versus unknown events. The nature of regionals is quite different than the games. There's a very big difference between having a few weeks to perfect your technique on, let's say, kipping handstand push-ups or throwing a dumbbell overhead, for example, and being thrown into it with no forewarning whatsoever.
That's right. We're definitely going to see some big mix-ups in the regionals and in the open. We've seen pretty standard CrossFit. Not a lot of big surprises as far as movements go, right? Aside from perhaps the heavy dumbbells, pretty standard. Now, the athletes are going to have to see a bunch of new events. Let's think about 2011. Just that games alone, we saw a softball throw, the ocean swim, super heavy sled push, the killer cage, watt bike, sled pull, and being able to adapt both physically and mentally to new movements on the spot is an element of fitness that we haven't fully tested yet.
You certainly are welcome to your wrong opinion.
I appreciate that.
The link to this spreadsheet can be found at games.crossfit.com, and you can draw your own conclusions. Of course, I know that it's actually going to be Rich and Graham sharing the top of the podium, both in first
You're
place this year.
both confused.
We have a short break now. When we return, it's time to shift focus from the regionals and start focusing on the games. With less than 6 weeks until the competition, what kinds of gains can an athlete actually make? We'll hear from NorCal's elite when we return.
NorCal.
Hey, you know what? We need to go chair shopping.
My name is Scott Gilbert. I'm from Little Silver, New Jersey. I work out at CrossFit Triple Threat in Red Bank, New Jersey. And the reason we're here today is because my niece was diagnosed at the age of 9 weeks with ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She spent about 3 months at another children's hospital where they had to pay, which did a great job for her, but at one point the leukemia metastasized into her bone marrow, and they decided the best place for her treatment would be at St. Jude in Memphis, Tennessee, which is a hospital where the parents never have to pay. They're actually doing an NK cell transplant today, and God willing, if that goes well, she will be getting a bone marrow transplant within the next few weeks, with her sister or father or mother being the donor. The push that they're making for this workout and for St. Jude, which again is a free hospital for the parents, I should say of no charge to the parents. There is no such thing as free. For that place to function right, they need donations, and it's important for events like this and CrossFit, the whole community, to get behind it and make a push for their goal, which is $1.7 million. Absolutely, I'll be here, do the workout. 15 minutes of pain doesn't compare shit to what these poor kids are going through every day. No child should die in the dawn of their life. That's their mantra.
Welcome back. CrossFit is a unique sport in many ways, but what typically raises eyebrows is the fact that the athletes train year-round for an unknown set of events. This is another function of testing CrossFit's definition of fitness, being prepared for any eventuality. The Open and Regionals are a strong barometer not only for gauging how an athlete will do at the Games in July, but also as an indicator of where athletes should be focusing all of their attention.
But time's ticking, right? And with less than 6 weeks until the competition, realistically, how much ground can you make up? How many skills can you acquire, or weaknesses can you shore up? So we're going to look at how should an athlete approach this time between regionals and games.
That's right. So where do you spend your time, right? Am I going to sacrifice fine-tuning my strengths to address weaknesses, or do you simply enter maintenance mode with the confidence, hey, I've done all I can do to prepare, I'm just going to kind of coast in there. Some of NorCal's qualifying athletes were here to take part in the CrossFit for Hope fundraiser, and they took the time to share their thoughts.
I have 6 weeks until the games, and what can I accomplish until then in terms of getting myself more prepared? Now it's just time to start working on things that I don't normally work on. Running long, swimming, you know, just random stuff, you know, like throwing a football.
Running, swimming, you just don't know. So you have to be prepared for anything. So we're putting in the volume needed to do that, and we're putting it in all those different areas, you know, with no specific one area of focus, but really trying to mix and match them as best as we can to build the capacity that if our event does happen, that we are prepared for them.
I'd say my main focus is just getting all the skills, all the weird stuff, the awkward stuff that, you know, since they put the regional workouts out, kind of put that stuff on the back burner. So more technical things like a muscle up to handstand, or like handstand walks, or, you know, variations of pistol squats, and just all this like weird stuff that you don't have to necessarily be a pro at it, but make sure that if it comes up, you've done it, you've practiced it, you're familiar with it. So really just kind of put everything in there, and then just start slamming the running, rowing, swimming, all that kind of stuff.
If something came up that I'm not looking forward to, I think I've done everything in my power to put myself in the best position to perform well no matter what comes up. And I'm more confident than I've ever been in terms of that this year, because I've spent a lot of time working on what I suck at. And when I say I spent a lot of time, I mean I've spent a lot of time.
When I look at some of these women, I won't be able to make the gains to necessarily be shoulder to shoulder with them when it comes to those workouts. I just have to hold my own when it is those workouts and excel when I can, when it's the handstand push-ups or pull-ups, or, you know, whatever's in my wheelhouse, the heavy sled. Most of what will make or break you at the games will be what happens between the ears. It's all mental training at this point, you know, staying calm under pressure, knowing, you know, when you need to rest, when you don't.
The people who've won it in the past, they're so mentally strong that they're able to withstand and actually endure more than what other athletes are able to. So as long as I keep my mind right and I keep myself mentally focused, I'll be able to achieve that destination. Our bodies are machines. They're meant to do whatever we need them to do. We just got to keep the mind fresh. And if you keep that mind fresh and you keep it healthy, it will take you whatever distance you want it to take you. But that's the thing, you can't let it play tricks on you.
Well, there you have it, right? From the best in the business, you know. And the big takeaway is you absolutely can get better in just 6 weeks, but it just depends on where do you need to go. There's not just one recipe, right? We had Spiel on the show a while ago, and he needs to get stronger. And he said, absolutely, you're damn right I can get stronger in 6 weeks, and watch me do it. Khalipa has, what, a 500 and something pound deadlift. He didn't mention he's going to focus on, you know, strength, but polish up that technique, and maybe, self-admitted, not the best athlete in the world. Let's work on some of that stuff that requires a lot of the coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance. Gabe focused on, I need to get to the games, right? Mm-hmm. You know, different path than Ben Smith or Khalipa. So he focused on becoming a regional ninja. That's gone. Time to start checking off what he blew off for a while. And we talked about Neal, so he's going to take care of his mental game. It can be straight. But big takeaway, yes, 6 weeks is plenty time. Focus, have a plan, and make sure you walk into Carson ready.
That's right. And actually, 6 weeks to go, and until then, we will not know who does have the best preparation. That's about it for the CrossFit Games, but please remember this weekend, CrossFit's combating childhood cancer and other deadly diseases through its inaugural CrossFit for Hope fundraiser benefiting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
The Hope Workout is on June 9th. That's this Saturday, and all of you should participate. Contact your local affiliate for more information about the schedule for the workout of the day. If you need more information, go to hope.crossfit.com.
And contributions can be performance-based pledges or donations for participants and affiliates. We'll keep track of the athlete performances and donations for each individual in every participating affiliate. And I promise you this, you will work for every ounce that you give. The Hope Workout is 3 rounds of burpees, 75-pound power snatches, 24-inch box jumps, 75-pound thrusters, and chest-to-bar pull-ups, completed in the same format as Fight Gone Bad. It is a bruiser.
Yeah, and St. Jude is just an amazing organization. They are the only pediatric cancer center where families never pay for treatment not covered by insurance. So no family ever pays St. Jude for the care their child receives. It's awesome.
It's a truly amazing organization. Our goal this year with the Hope Workout is to raise $1.7 million. That's the cost to keep the doors of St. Jude open for just one day of operation, so please help us as we try and accomplish that goal. Thank you all for joining us. The countdown to the games is on, and we'll be right here with you all the way to Los Angeles. Go now, do CrossFit for Hope, and touch some lives. For Pat, Miranda, and the crew, I'm Rory McKernan saying bye. See you next week.